The storm had rolled in just after midnight, swallowing the quiet suburbs in sheets of icy rain. By 12:47 a.m., the police radios exploded with the kind of call no officer in Briar Hills was ever prepared for. A body. Found in the middle of Hawthorne Bridge. No witnesses. No tire marks. And no sign of how it got there. Detective Mara Locke arrived first. She stepped into the cold wind, her flashlight slicing through the dark as her boots splashed against the soaked pavement. The victim was a man, mid-30s, clean-shaven, dressed in a suit that looked expensive, even drenched. But what froze her wasn't the body. It was his expression, eyes wide open, fear etched into every line on his face. There was no blood. No visible trauma. Just terror. Beside him lay a single object, a silver cufflink engraved with initials that had already begun haunting the department. LC. Within an hour, the bridge was sealed off. Crime scene tents glowed like small ghostly islands in the rain. Officers whispered. They all felt it. Something was wrong. This wasn't a random attack or a robbery gone bad. It was too clean, too precise. Almost staged. Detective Locke crouched beside the victim, studying the stillness. He didn't fall, she murmured. Someone put him here. But why? The victim was identified as Lawson Creed, a financial consultant with no criminal record, no known enemies, nothing that would justify ending up dead on a bridge before sunrise. His wife, Elena, was called in. She arrived shaking, mascara streaked from the storm, breath shallow as she repeated the same phrase. Lawson left the house at 9. He said he had a meeting. He never came back. There was a meeting on his calendar, but no location. No details. Just one word. Hawthorne. That was the first red flag. The second came from his phone records. A call placed exactly 1 minute before his death, to a number with no name attached. A burner phone. Then came the third. Security cameras near the bridge had all gone dark at the exact same time, 12:39 a.m. A blackout lasting only 3 minutes. Just long enough for someone to drop a body in the middle of an empty bridge. The case hit the news by morning. People whispered about a professional hit, or some kind of silent poison. But Locke wasn't buying any of it. Something about the scene felt manipulated. As if someone wanted the police to see exactly what was left behind. By noon, she had her first potential lead, a grainy security camera clip from a gas station 2 miles from the bridge. A black SUV, windows tinted, pulling in at 12:25 a.m. The timestamp matched the rough window of the murder. The driver was hooded, face hidden. The SUV stayed for exactly 54 seconds before pulling out. When Locke replayed the clip, she noticed something odd. The license plate was spotless. Too spotless. As if it had been cleaned minutes before the vehicle arrived. She sent the image to the lab. By evening, a forensic analyst called back, voice trembling. That plate doesn't exist in the system. It's a fake. But that's not the disturbing part. Mara, the car's reflection in the window doesn't match the model on the road. It's been altered digitally. Someone doctored the footage. Someone with serious skills. The case was already spiraling into something bigger, something orchestrated. But nothing prepared her for what happened next. Because just as she was leaving the station that night, heading toward her car, a man stepped out from the shadows, soaking wet, breathing hard. I know what really happened on that bridge, he whispered, voice trembling with fear. And you're not going to believe who put him there. Detective Mara Locke's hand hovered near her holster as the stranger stepped into the dim light of the parking lot. Rain clung to his eyelashes, his clothes drenched as if he'd been running for miles. Who are you? She asked. He glanced over his shoulder, paranoid, then leaned in. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that Lawson Creed wasn't supposed to die. Locke held his stare. You said you know who put him on that bridge. The man swallowed hard. Someone powerful. Someone who's been planning this for months. Before she could press him, he shoved a folded piece of paper into her hand. I can't be seen with you. They're watching everyone connected to this case. If you want the truth, follow the address. His voice cracked just slightly. But go alone. He didn't wait for questions. He slipped into the darkness, vanishing between rows of parked cars. Locke reached for her radio, then stopped. Something about the fear in his voice was real, more real than anything she'd seen in the last 24 hours. She unfolded the rain-stained paper. An address. A storage facility on the edge of town. Unit 47B. The clock read 9:18 p.m. She hesitated only a second before getting into her car. The storage facility sat behind a chain-link fence topped with razor wire. Most units were dark, but one camera above the entrance blinked with a red light, still recording, still active. Locke's breath fogged the cold air as she walked down the narrow hallway. Her footsteps echoed. 47A. 47B. She stopped. The padlock on 47B was already open. That sent a chill along her spine. She pushed the door up slowly. It groaned, echoing through the hall. Inside was a small desk, a metal chair, and stacks of file boxes arranged with unsettling precision. A single bulb flickered overhead, casting long, fractured shadows across the concrete. On the desk lay a laptop. The screen was still on. A video paused at the exact moment she entered. She pressed play. Lawson Creed appeared on screen, sitting in a dim room. His face bruised. His hands trembling. He was alive. The timestamp, 11:52 p.m. Just under an hour before his body was found. He leaned toward the camera, voice strained. If you're seeing this, it means they followed through. They said it would look clean. Like I just disappeared. Locke's heart pounded. Lawson continued, eyes darting nervously. I shouldn't have agreed. I shouldn't have helped them. They told me it was just data, just numbers, offshore transfers, nothing violent. Then I realized who the accounts belonged to. Who they were funding. A shaky breath. I tried to back out. I told them I wouldn't be part of it. But they said I already was. They said backing out wasn't an option. He looked directly into the camera. Elena. I'm sorry. And the screen went black. Locke stared, frozen. This wasn't just a murder. This was a cover-up. Something deliberate. Something huge. A faint sound behind her snapped her out of it, a soft click. She spun around. The front gate to the storage facility had just locked electronically. Someone else was here. She grabbed her flashlight, scanning the room. The file boxes suddenly felt like walls closing in. She moved quietly toward the hallway, adrenaline spiking. Then, from the far end of the corridor, a shadow drifted into view, tall, deliberate, unhurried. The figure paused when it noticed her, as if surprised she was there at all. Then it ran. Locke bolted after it, feet pounding against the cold concrete, echoing like gunshots. The hallway stretched ahead like a tunnel. She was gaining. The figure reached the emergency exit door and threw something to the ground. A flash of blinding white light exploded. Locke shielded her eyes, stumbled, and slammed into a wall. By the time her vision cleared, the exit door was swinging shut. She pushed through, breath sharp in her chest, but the parking lot was empty. The intruder was gone. She scanned the ground. A small metallic device lay smoking near the door, a flash grenade. Military grade. Whoever she saw wasn't just a hired thug. They were trained. Locke picked it up with gloved hands, mind racing, heart pounding. Someone had been watching this storage unit. Someone knew she would come. Someone wanted her to see Lawson's video, but not survive long enough to follow it. Then she heard it, the faint buzz of her phone. A text. Unknown number. Back away from the case, detective. Or the next body they find won't be on a bridge. Detective Mara Locke stared at the message glowing on her phone screen, the cold threat pulsing through her veins. She stood alone in the shadowed parking lot of the storage facility, rain dripping from her coat, the abandoned flash grenade cooling at her feet. Whoever had sent the message knew exactly where she was, what she'd seen, and what she intended to do next. She typed back only one word. No. Then she blocked the number. By dawn, Locke had pieced together as many fragments as she could: Lawson's confession, the doctored SUV footage, the fake license plate, the stranger's warning. It all pointed to one conclusion. This wasn't the work of a lone killer. It was a network. Organized. Precise. Hidden behind legitimate money. And Lawson Creed had stumbled into the center of it. The first thing she did that morning was return to the Creed home. Elena Creed answered the door with red, swollen eyes, her hands trembling as she clutched a mug of untouched coffee. "Mrs. Creed," Locke said gently, "I need to ask you again. Did Lawson mention anything strange in the days before he died? Anyone unusual? Any threats?" Elena looked down. He was scared," she whispered. "He didn't want me to notice, but I did. He'd wake up at night to check the windows. He told me someone was following him. But whenever I pushed him to explain, he'd just say, 'It's handled.'" "What was handled?" Locke pressed. Elena hesitated, then reached into a drawer and handed her a folded note Lawson had hidden beneath his watch case. It was brief. Handwritten. "If anything happens, it wasn't an accident. Look at the accounts." Accounts. Locke's mind snapped to the mention of offshore transfers, what Lawson said he'd gotten involved with. She took the note, thanked Elena, and left. The moment she returned to the precinct, she requested access to Lawson's financial logs. Her captain denied it immediately. "Too messy," he said. "Feds are circling this thing already. You're to stand down." But something about the tone, too sharp, too rehearsed, made her pulse spike. He knew something. He wanted her off the case not for her safety, but for someone else's. She walked out without responding. If she couldn't get the files through official channels, she'd get them another way. She drove straight to the one place Lawson would have kept what he feared most: his laptop, locked in police evidence. A place she technically had access to. She slipped inside the archives room and entered the evidence locker code. The laptop was sealed in a plastic bag. She cut it open and turned the device on. A password screen appeared. 2 tries. Wrong both times. Then she remembered the word Lawson said in the video. "Elena." She typed, "Elena 27, and hit enter. The screen unlocked. Inside was a single folder, hidden deep, labeled simply, Hawthorne. Her breath held as she opened it. Bank statements. Wire transfers. Ledger notes. Anonymous payments traced to shell companies spread across half the continent. And all of it tied to one primary account holder. Her captain. Detective Robert Hale. Locke felt her stomach turn. Suddenly the blackout on the bridge cameras, the doctored SUV footage, the pushback from the precinct, it all snapped into place. Hale had been using Lawson's financial expertise to funnel money. When Lawson tried to walk away, he had him silenced. A perfect crime. Clean. Controlled. Invisible. Until Lawson broke the rules and recorded a confession. Until that stranger spoke up. And until Locke stepped into the mess. Before she could process the next move, the door to the evidence room creaked open. Hale stepped inside, gun drawn, expression calm and deadly. "You should have listened, Mara. You were supposed to drop this." She closed the laptop slowly. "You killed him," she said quietly. "You put him on that bridge. He was a liability," Hale replied. "Just like you." For a moment, the room held nothing but silence and the low hum of the fluorescent lights. Then Hale raised his gun. Locke lunged sideways, grabbing a metal evidence tray and slamming it against his hand. The gun clattered to the floor. She dove for cover as Hale cursed and rushed forward. They collided, grappling across the aisle of locked shelves. He shoved her hard, sending her crashing into a stack of file boxes. He reached for the gun. Locke kicked it away and scrambled to her feet. Hale charged again, rage twisting his face. She grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and swung it with everything she had left. It struck his temple. Hale dropped instantly. When backup arrived minutes later, Hale was unconscious, the laptop open on the table for all to see. Locke handed over the evidence with shaking hands. The case exploded across the media within hours. But the final twist came weeks later. The man who'd warned Locke in the parking lot, the stranger who vanished into the night, was never found. Not in cameras, not in records, not in any database. Some said he was part of the network. Some said he was trying to escape it. But Locke kept the paper he'd given her, the one that led her to the truth. A reminder that perfect crimes don't exist. Not when someone is brave enough, or desperate enough, to speak up. If you thought this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it.